How would you describe yourself? What do you do for a living?
I'm an actor now again.
Yeah.
I'm starting over again in a way.
Tell me about that.
Well, I had my career going about 10 years ago, you know,
You let it go, right?
in the right direction.
Yeah.
I started not liking the business and not liking myself, and I was slowly self-destructing at a pretty fast rate, if that makes sense.
Sure.
I felt like I didn't belong doing what I was doing, meaning the acting. I don't know, I felt some sort of guilt about being successful at it. Being an actor is being what I now call behaving in a professional manner, in a responsible manner. But let's say if a little wrench got thrown in my spokes, I went haywire, and was very consistent with my anger. In my case, I was able to be an actor in Hollywood because I had the ability, and I was able to take a meeting. And I know a lot of boys back from the old days that were very, very good actors, but they couldn't take a meeting, so they never made it past, you know, little dark rooms where people study acting in.
How do you take those meetings? What's special about them?
Well, it's like in life, you know, it's, you read people, you read and behave accordingly to what, you know, you ask yourself, what do you want? And then you look at, size that person up, and you figure out what it is they want. I used to get a big kick out of getting the job.
Yeah.
I like that. There was a lot of, I enjoy competitiveness. Probably goes back to sports. Sports were always my thing.
You played basketball?
No, I boxed and played baseball.
Oh, baseball?
Yeah. And
I
I left the acting for 5 years, went back to the boxing.
I remember that.
For 4 years, yeah. Which, I look back on it now, it was something I needed to do. But I look back on it now, and it was very destructive way of acting out for me. It was not the healthiest choice I could make to do. But physically, it was great for me. Mentally, you know, I sustained some injuries over the years that took me some time to heal from. The adrenaline rush and the countdown from, you know, out of the 11 fights, waiting 12 weeks. 12 weeks in between each fight to get in train, get tuned up and get ready, get focused. There was a lot of responsibility there. You know, it's not like if you haven't done your road work and you're not focused and concentrated, you know, you can't say, let's do another take, you know, and I like that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to test myself again one more time that way before I turned into a popsicle, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Is there anything in acting that even remotely compares to that?
I can look at it now because I guess I could have looked at it that way early on, and I did, and that's what drove me. But I can now once again look at it again that way because that challenge of going back to work is there again. You know, I have a terrible reputation, and for me, the first time getting there was hard. The second time was a motherfucker. But for me, you know, coming up and thinking being hard was, and having to be hard for, you know, long stretches of years, you know, before this Hollywood thing. You know, you could turn yourself into, you can get so hard that eventually, you know, you get desensitized. And you can get so hard that it becomes easy to get hard. It's now, for almost 2 years, it's been very, very hard being good.
Because that's not your inclination?
It wasn't my way, yeah. And so I have to continuously work, something I have to continuously work on.
How do you do that?
I do it through, I go talk to someone professionally a couple of days a week, and I I talk to God a lot, more than one would imagine I would, and it's a journey into itself, because it's a very private kind of hell, because it's a hole that I dug.
What did you think being an actor was going to be, and why did you want to be an actor?
I got tired when I was about 19 of the boxing. Because I'd boxed for 4 years, and I was getting ready to turn pro, and I got a concussion, 2 of them. So I needed to take, doctors told me to take some time off. I accidentally got into the acting. And then once I got into it, something clicked, and I started doing it really hard, really did my road work, really wanted to learn it. I didn't really want to be mediocre at it.
No.
And I really loved it at the time. And since I loved it and I liked it and I didn't want to be ordinary, I really worked. That's all I did was work hard at it. That started to go wrong probably about the time I was working with, I don't want to mention any names, but I was working with a director on a film, and he'd yell at me before I even did anything wrong.
Right.
I mean, before I did anything wrong, while he hired me, he was yelling at me on the street.
Why? Was he expecting
trouble? He had heard, because the reputation, the entourage I had at the time warranted that, I suppose. And he wanted me to know he was the boss and that he wasn't going to take any shit. I admired that director a lot. And it hurt my feelings that he'd yell at me for no reason, or he wouldn't say shit to the other person. And from what I heard is, I guess I did misbehave.
Yeah.
Without even knowing it at the time.
Right.
So maybe he was right and I was wrong.
Yeah. You once said something which I think kind of nailed it for a lot of male actors in this town, which was that, and tell me if I'm misquoting you, because that happens. I'm
Sure.
picking this up from the press, which was that there was a problem with men being actors because essentially it was women's work, and there was something lacking in.
I would. Your quote is right. I did say that at one time, but I think since I've made that quote, there's something I'd like to requote. I think women. I shouldn't have said it was women's work, because women are much stronger than men. It just is work that I think where it went sort of south for me was that there's a level of mediocrity that the industry settles for that antagonized my
sensibility.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that was one of the reasons I went back and tested myself with the fighting.
Yeah.
You know, there's nothing like, you can talk to any professional, and when you're sitting in that dressing room, that door opens and you hear the roar of the crowd, your stomach's going over and over and over again. You know, fortunately in the acting profession, we don't have to feel that.
No.
You know. I don't know why I had to test myself one last time. Like I said, I don't think it was the right choice. You know, I heard a lot of people around me doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe in the big picture, it'll work out for me okay.
Yeah.
I regained accepting myself being an actor, and feeling very, very fortunate that I have an opportunity to do such a profession, which I was losing. I lost all appreciation of that at the time when I stopped doing it.
But do you feel now that it is something?
I feel great doing it now.
Do you think it's worthy?
Yeah, I think it's worthy. When it's honest, and if you can find enough moments in the day or in the whole, from beginning to end, that it's honest and there's integrity. Yeah, sure, that's what's important. For me, it's more interesting than being a mechanic.
Yeah.
You know, I get pretty bored doing this.
Yeah.
But yet there's something safe about doing this.
About which?
about just doing an 8-to-5 job.
Sure. If you arrive here as a young person and then suddenly are successful, it seems almost impossible to get through that without some damage.
Yeah, whether it tails off into some sort of narcissism or drugs or alcohol or you turn into like waxed fruit, you know, your performances, or you end up becoming so big that you end up living in a bubble, which happens a lot.
Can you think of anybody who's got through unscathed?
I don't know a lot of people in the acting business.
No?
No.
No. I understand that.
No. It's been very hard to have to go over and work over in Europe on, you know, movies that you know aren't great, just to pay the bills or just keep plugging away. I'd like to, you know, find a piece with integrity that I believe in, that I could get excited about, that I know is not going to end up, you know, on some video shelf of Italy somewhere.
I don't think it's such a big deal in terms of people who would like to see you in a film. It might go a long way with people who make films or produce
Yeah,
them.
people who make films.
Yeah, the industry.
Yeah, that pissed off a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. But is it true that they have short memories?
No.
It's not true.
No, it's not.
Oh shit.
No, it's not.
Oh dear. Yeah.
But you know, it's like, as long as you're still walking, and you know.
But the truth is, surely, if you had one hit right now, that the selective amnesia would be a blanket
In a heartbeat.
syndrome,
In a heartbeat.
wouldn't it?
I know that, and you know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll happen.
Huh?
So that'll happen.
If God wants it to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I miss terribly the days when Adrian Lyne and Alan Parker, Shamina would call me up and say, let's go to work.
Yeah, yeah.
Those, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A young director gave me something several months ago that I felt that way about. I felt if I could do this movie, this would do for me what the doctor ordered. And he was very enthusiastic about me doing it.
You're right.
And then he took it to a couple places, and they said no to me. I could have made him a hero. I know I could have.
Let's talk about money. Did you earn a lot of money?
Spent all my money.
But it was good money?
Yeah, I made good money, you know, for the time, for 10 years ago, I guess, more than most people make in a lifetime.
Sure.
Spent it foolishly. You know, it was part of the, I guess, you know, when you get your hands on money for the first time in your life, you don't, you know,
It's a rock star thing, isn't
you
it?
don't keep it in your pocket.
No. Do you regret that?
I regret it now that I was so reckless with it, and not responsible with it.
Yeah.
But that goes along with a lot of other things in my life that I lost along the way of that kind of behavior.
Have you done theatre
Years ago.
before film?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what did you think of that?
I enjoyed it because, once again, it was something that was very spontaneous and was very challenging, and especially for me, memorizing my lines.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, years ago, it was very hard for me to memorize lines. Over the years, it's like anything else, you pick it up. But back then, it was like Halloween 3.
In your family, were the musicians or actors or anything like that?
No.
So where did you get the bug from?
I didn't really have the bug. I didn't know what else to do. I was doing other things after the sports that weren't very honorable, and
Yeah.
I thought, well, I better get out of this line of work. And
What did your father do?
I don't know.
Right. Your mother?
She was a nurse.
Right. So why the sport? Was that something that everybody
Sports
did?
are great. Yeah, sports. Well, you didn't have to have a lot of money to do sports, and it was something that you got into very early, and I really liked it.
What was the first fight like?
Oh, nightmare.
Was it?
Yeah.
Tell me.
Yeah, it was 14 years since I had fought in the amateurs, and it was down in Florida. And
A lot of publicity.
yeah, a lot of publicity. It was
A lot
on
of
the
people like to
news.
probably watch you have the shit kicked out of you, right?
They all came to see me get the shit kicked. Watch why I trained for 12 weeks like an animal, so I didn't give them that privilege.
But you knew that was a factor out there.
Sure, that was a lot of the pressure,
And you'd set that up too, right?
well, no, I'd gone down to Florida just to hang out, and I was sparring in the old gym, the old Fifth Street gym. It's not there anymore. And some promoter there who knew me from the old days asked me, I was sparring with some kid from Philadelphia, and he said, "You still got a couple fights left?" And I said, "No, Tommy, no." It ended up, he put up the money for a fight, the War Memorial thing in Fort Lauderdale. And I left Miami, come back to LA to train with Bill Slayton down at Watts.
Yeah.
And about 5 weeks before the fight, I tore my right rotor cuff. And that's a bad injury for anything. And about 2 weeks before the fight, the promoter and his partners came to LA to talk with me. And I found out one guy put up his house, one guy put up this, so there was no way I could back out of the fight. Still couldn't throw a right hand. So the University of Miami doctors gave me these big, I got about 12 injections. The day before the fight and the day of the fight, still couldn't throw the right hand. So there was a lot of dirty.
You're right-handed, right?
Yeah, there was a lot of dirty. There's a lot of dirty infighting going on, but you know, I couldn't sit there and say, "Excuse me, I can't throw my right hand." You know, it was like.
So you kept quiet about that?
Yeah. And I couldn't pull out because the boys put up all their money.
How many rounds?
It was a 6-round fight that I won, and then I kept going. I didn't think I was going to keep going.
Was it a point victory or?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how was the actual fight then?
Dirty.
But tell me how it felt.
It was scary walking into the ring, and there was like 20,000 people there, and it was.
No shit.
Yeah, I had a long robe on, and my knees were shaking.
Man. So
it was funny to see Chris Dundee come in and going, "What the hell are you doing back here?" And see Roberto Duran and Nigel Benn and a lot of the guys.
Nigel Benn was there.
Yeah. And so Nigel was sitting there talking to me, and he left for a little while.
Yeah.
After the fight, I said, "Nigel, where the hell did you go?"
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, mate," he said, "I walked down the hall. I saw the guy shaping up who you were going to fight, and I had to go out and have a cigarette. I was so nervous." Because I was fighting some big tattooed lump who just got out of prison.
Wow.
And, God bless him, he's passed away now. But
what of?
Drugs. Great guy, though.
Yeah.
And it hit me a good right hand in the first round.
He did?
Yeah, he was called Steve the Hammer Powell. He had a beautiful right hand.
Yeah.
God bless him.
So in fact, you'd never had a fight like this in your life before?
No, just amateur fights.
You'd never had this audience? You'd never had this pressure?
No, it was the audience that was getting to me.
Sure.
And I was thinking, okay, I've got to move. Like I couldn't move really. My natural way would be move to his left.
Yeah.
That was where his gun comes from.
Yeah.
So I'd have to move to the left and then stutter step to the right to stay awake when he'd throw the right hand. We were fighting with a very thick mat, and you can't move.
Right.
It's like a slugger's ring. They purposely put in a slow,
just so you know,
a slow floor. And it was like fighting in a phone booth. It was like a 12-foot ring or something. And he caught me in the first round, and I saw like all gray. Yeah, got a little gray there.
Yeah.
But I used to spar with very good, very really world-class fighters to get in shape. So the club fighters weren't that difficult for me, as long as I did my road work.
Right.
Yeah.
When the decision was made, vocal, how did you feel?
I wasn't satisfied.
No?
No.
Why not?
Because I didn't knock him out, and because I couldn't throw my right hand.
Right. Did you get hurt in this period?
Now and again.
You get your head hurt?
My nose was broke 3 or 4 times, and my cheekbone was broken once.
Did you worry about your brain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not till everybody else did.
Right. But I mean, going in, that must have been in your mind.
No, that wasn't it was the fear of losing.
Right, you're stronger.
Yeah,
So how many fights did you do?
11.
Uh,
I won 9, 2 draws.
so why did you stop at that point then?
I stopped because I was doing an examination, physical examination, and my doctor recommended that it was time to stop.
But was this a cathartic period for you? Did you kind of rethink stuff?
No, I wasn't thinking about anything. It was a very destructive period for me.
Was it?
Yeah. Like I said, I hurt people around me. I had no business hurting. I had a responsibility to myself and to someone else that I don't know where my head was at.
Give me 6 pieces of music that you really like.
Knocking on Heaven's Door,
Which one? The
the Dylan. Like, I like One from U2. I like all the music I used to come out to when I fought. I like Sweet Child of Mine. I like Delilah, Tom Jones. There's a couple Christopherson songs I like. 6 movies that have touched me.
Yeah.
The last movie I liked a lot was Richard Harris's movie, The Field.
Yeah.
I liked The Deer Hunter a lot. I like Sierra Madre a lot.
Yeah. And actors? But when you were coming up,
I love Darryl Flynn.
Yeah.
Wouldn't want to have lived his life though. It's too painful.
Yeah.
Montgomery Clift, Marlon Brando, Richard Harris, Terrence Stamp. I like Loretta Young. Faye Dunaway,
Yeah.
Charlotte Rampling.
All right, man.
Okay.
I think we're done.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.